So today we're going to talk about the preparation and delivery of your speeches. Now that you found your research, the next step is to work on completing the outline, which is in the speech folder on Schoology. So a couple statistics, because I know everybody is nervous when they feel like they have to give a speech in class, but it says according to a 1985 Wall Street Journal article, the number one fear in America is it's not spiders, it's actually speaking in front of an audience, but there's no need to be afraid. Just think of this as a conversation with your classmates. It's just your turn to talk. So there are a couple different types of speeches. An impromptu speech is one that you just give on the spot. You don't prepare it, you don't research it, you don't even know the topic, you just show up and give it. A memorized speech is where the speech has been memorized word for word. And a read speech is where the speech has been written out word for word and then it's read from a manuscript. A memorized speech is really hard to do, and a read speech is actually quite boring. So we're going to do one called an extemporaneous speech. And that's where you prepare it and you practice it, but you deliver it instead of memorizing or reading it. And this is the type of speech that you'll be required to give in your college speech classes. So your introduction definitely needs to get your audience's attention. If you don't get your audience's attention right away, they're not likely to listen to you. Your intro should also establish the claim of your speech and be under a minute long. So let's talk about your introduction. There are 5 components to a speech introduction. You need your hook, which is your attention getting device, and you're very familiar with that because you've done it for every essay you've written for me this year. Next, you're going to reveal your topic by connecting it to the hook. After that, you demonstrate credibility and goodwill, preview the main points of your speech, and lastly, you'll have your thesis or your claim. So let's talk about your hook, because that can really make or break your speech. Again, if you don't hook your audience in with a speech, they're probably going to tune you out for the next 3 to 5 minutes. Now, typically for your essays, you use a quote. Okay, and you can certainly use a quote for your hook this time, but with speeches, you have a few more options. You could use a joke, a rhetorical question, which is one that doesn't require a response, an anecdote, which is a little short story about your topic, a startling statistic, or again, you can fall back on the trusty quote. So let's look at some examples here. The first example is a joke, okay? And so again, your hook should kind of allude to your topic without fully giving it away. So people should be able to hear your hook and know what your topic is or have an inkling, but you still need to give them examples. It says, science that the scientists have gone too far with genetically modified food. Your hot dog just fetch his own ketchup and relish. You spot the telltale signs of a primitive central nervous system in your jello. Chalkini looks like a zucchini, tastes like a ding dong. And black-eyed peas on your fork just winked at you. And every time you pour a glass of orange juice, your garage door goes up. So where did I find these cheesy jokes? I just Googled jokes about GMOs. If you're doing a more sensitive topic, I might suggest staying away from a joke. But if your topic is not, super charged with emotion, it's something you could consider. You could also ask a rhetorical question of your audience. For example, how many of you like food? How many of you want to eat food-like substances created in labs that are made with chemicals and are harmful to your health? You could try an anecdote, which again is a little short story. You might find some of these in your research. So this says, Julie thought she was healthy until one day she noticed she felt tired, achy, and sick all the time. After that, she more closely examined what she was eating and what actually went in her food. Or you can try a statistic. Again, this is really easy to find just by Googling. 88% of corn, 94% of soy, and 90% of canola is subjected to significant changes, and all of these ingredients are found in the vast majority of most Americans' diets. And lastly, we can fall back on that trusty quote. Again, I found this one simply from Googling quotes about GMOs. So this says, according to Bernie Sanders, in 49 countries around the world, including all of Europe, people have the opportunity of knowing whether or not they are eating food which contains genetically engineered ingredients. In the United States, we don't. So you could probably get an inkling from all of these hooks that I'm doing GMOs, but that's where you want to reveal the topic is next. So again, you want to let your audience know what your topic is and connect it with your hook. So this says GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, are the result of a laboratory process where genes from the DNA of one species are extracted and artificially forced into the genes of an unrelated plant or animal. The foreign genes may come from bacteria, viruses, insects, animals, or even humans. Okay. After that, you want to demonstrate credibility. In other words, why should people listen to you on this topic? What is your expertise? This is your ethos. So it says, I'm an expert on GMOs because I have spent a great deal of time researching this subject and pay attention to what goes into my food. After that, you want to preview the main points. I actually go back and fill this in after I've done the majority of my outline because the main points are what goes next to the Roman numerals in your outline, and you'll see what that means in just a minute. But you want to tell your reader what the major topics you're discussing are. So this says, today I will be discussing what genetically modified organisms are, how they are created, and why they are dangerous for public consumption. And lastly, I'm going to have my claim or my thesis. Now, it should state a clear opinion about the topic without using opinion words like in my opinion or I think. You also want to try and incorporate the word should in your claim, along with some reasons or even some proposals for change of policy. So this says, due to the potentially dangerous effects that GMOs have on health, all food, health, and beauty products should have clear labeling on their packaging if they contain genetically modified organisms. So here I make a clear claim. It's my opinion, but I don't state it as such. I use the word should, and then I propose some change. From there, what you want to do is move into the body of your outline, okay? And real quick here, this is just kind of what my finished introduction looks like after I filled it all in, okay? So take a look at this. Use this as an example for your own. So let's talk about the body of your outline of your speech, okay? So what you want to do is divide your main topic into little subpoints or sub-issues or reasons that support your claim. For example, for Roman numeral 1, I have what is a GMO. Roman numeral 2, it says what is used to genetically modify an organism. For Roman numeral 3, I'm going to talk about the harmful health effects of GMOs. For Roman numeral 4, I'm going to talk about the harmful environmental effects of GMOs. For Roman numeral 5, I'm going to talk about why packaging needs specific labels. And then lastly, I'll have my rebuttal, okay? So literally for the Roman numerals on your outline, you are just going to take your main issue, divide it up into sub-issues, subtopics, or reasons that support your claim. Okay, now after that, there will be letters. So after each Roman numeral, you'll have some letters and you're going to need some further details and clarification. So this should be reasons and evidence that support your claim. And you're going to get this from your research. So in the letters underneath each Roman numeral, you should have some direct quotes. And the easiest way to do this is just go to your research articles in Google and then copy and paste good quotes in underneath the Roman numerals that support that topic. Okay, be sure to also provide some reasoning. Explain how those quotes support what you're trying to say in your speech. So let's take a look at an example. So for my Roman numeral 3, I'm talking about the harmful effects of GMOs. So letter A is my own writing, and I say GMOs pose potential health issues to both humans and animals. For my letters B, C, and D, I just copied and pasted research about these health issues that I found in my research articles, and I put them in for the B, C, and D, and then put a parenthetical citation after each one so I know that it's a quote. For my letter E, I interpret those quotes. So this says, because these potentially harmful effects, the Food and Drug Administration should at least require food companies to label packages for foods that contain GMOs until less biased research is conducted. So again, I have my own writing here, stuck in 3 quotes from my research, and then I provided some reasoning for how that research is backing up what I'm saying. Let's talk about the rebuttal, and that's going to be the last body paragraph of your speech. And the rebuttal should explore the opposite viewpoint, but also give some evidence that supports that opposition, but then you want to go on and explain why that's incorrect. So here's my rebuttal. It says, some people say that GMOs are beneficial. According to the Scientific American, genetic engineering could play a role in making crops more resilient to climate change. Supporters of the technology say genetically engineered or GE crops are necessary for meeting the nutritional demands of a growing global population. So these are pieces of evidence that support the opposite viewpoint from mine. But then I go on to explain in several sentences why this is wrong to rebut the opposite side. After that, make sure you have your parenthetical citations, okay? So if you have an author, you're going to use the author's last name. If you have just an article title, use the article title in quotation marks. We've talked about this all year. The conclusion should just review the main points. So this says, today I discuss what GMOs are, how they're created, the potential health and environmental risks, and why warning labels are necessary. And then you want to relate it back to your attention getter. So it says, unless we want our hot dogs fetching their own